So today I'm going to talk about a brand new number one holding in the stock market portfolio. It has changed. So it's very rare that I have a new number one holding in the portfolio. I think Hims and Hers has been there really for the last 3 years. However, we do have a new number one position in the portfolio. So I'm going to talk about today what stock that is and also why it jumped so much yesterday, and that's the reason why it got to my number one holding, because there was a lot of breaking news out there. And yeah, obviously it's a big thing when I get a new number one holding, but with the share price appreciation, it has got to number one. And just be aware, because it is pretty close between number one and number two, there might be some little fluctuations where one goes back to two and two goes back to one, but at the moment we do have a new number one holding, which it's not often that I have a change in number one holding, but we'll talk about that today. Just on a side note, don't know if any of you guys are absolutely knackered from the stock market. Honestly, the amount of news that's coming out at the moment is crazy. I know a lot of you guys want me to cover the B&M earnings that have just come out this morning, and I will try and get that to you guys. But honestly, it feels like there's just so much things going on in the stock market right now. I think for the last 3 weeks in the stock market, I think I've been getting up at working from 6 a.m. to about 8 a.m., going to work, coming back home from work about 4:30, and then I try to spend a bit of time at home from 4:30 to 7:30, and then from 7:30 onwards to about 2:30 in the morning. It's just constant catching up with news that's going on in the stock market. It's absolutely mental at the moment. So I don't know if any of you guys are absolutely knackered, but I am absolutely knackered. I literally fell asleep on the sofa last night at 6 p.m. So I had a 2-hour emergency kip. It's absolutely destroying at the moment, but hey, it's a busy time. Hopefully it calms down a little bit in the next couple of weeks. Speaking of busy times, Black Friday sale. I just want to say thank you. The amount of people that have signed up for the Black Friday sale has been absolutely amazing. I think we obviously launched it on Saturday last weekend, and I think we already have about 75% of the people, or the amount of people that signed up last year, already signed up this year. So the fact that we're going to be running until the 1st of December and we're about 75% of the way already for the amount of people that signed up last year, I think we're going to have another record-breaking Black Friday sale. So thank you for you guys that do support the YouTube channel through the Black Friday sale. Like I said, I try to give you over 100 exclusive videos on there on the Patreon, as well as my live buy and sell alerts, and a Discord with 600 members to talk to stocks, including me on there. And yeah, thank you for all of you that have really signed up. And I am going to try get I've got a lot of emails about people signing up, so I am trying to get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said, try give me about 24 hours to get back to you. But yeah, it's been mental amount of people that have signed up, but a good mental, because like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't not have any daily videos on the JKI YouTube channel. We earn £200 a month from YouTube. It's not a sustainable thing where I commit the amount of time that I do to make those videos if it was just for that YouTube. The only reason why I can do it is because of the Patreon guys. So yeah, thank you to you guys. And considering it's £44 and all the things you get as well, it's not too bad at all, is it? So if you do want to join, send me a link, jkinvesting@gmail.com. So let's get on to the new number one holding. It is AMD. So with the share price appreciation that it's been on, AMD has now entered my number one holding, which seems like a crazy thing to say a year ago. It was around about a year ago, as you can see here, where I said I'm going to start buying AMD in 2025. Now, the really crazy thing happened with AMD is where we came into the start of the year, $120 stock, and then the stock actually fell down to a $70 stock, which was incredible to see that we were able to see this stock fall down 35%. But this is this was like the averaging in dream, where I buy the stock, it goes lower and lower and lower. And yet, when you were looking at the financials were getting better and better and better. So that 4 months was just incredible opportunity to just keep buying and buying and buying. And that's what I did. It's very rare that I got into a top 5 position in that sort of speed that quickly, and then just continue to buy. And then with the share price appreciation on top, yeah, we've done really well from AMD, and up 114% year to date. I think this has probably been the pick of the YouTube channel this year. And the thing with this stock as well is it's not just going to be this year that this stock does really well. It's when you listen to the management team and they're telling you what they're going to do in future years. The back end of 2026 and 2027 sounds absolutely mega. So I am really holding this one for like the next kind of 2 years before you kind of see it reduce the position any significant amount. I think I have locked in a little bit of profit, but when we're talking like a reduction in the position of like 30-40%, probably won't come until like another 2 years time, really, until we see these, catalysts that really do play out. Now, the reason why AMD had a came in number one position yesterday is because it had an absolute cracking day. The stock was up around about 9% yesterday, which is a significant move. And what happened is AMD brought out an analyst day to kind of update with all the new information that they are hoping to do, which was actually really good. Very, very impressive analyst day. I spent my about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. last night listening to this AMD Investor Day. So they talked about previously the success that they've had in their data centers and some of the clients they do have, which are a very good client list, as you can see here. 10 out of 10 largest hyperscalers out here. 10 out of 10 most popular social media platforms. Previously, a revenue CAGR of the data center grown at 52%, which sounds good. It's even more impressive what they say going forward as well. So they saw the data center at the moment grow from 10 billion to 34 billion is where they're currently at from the data center point of view. And it also talks about the performance with the latest chips. So they basically said we've gone from like a 2-year cycle now where we have to do a cycle nearly every year. And you can see like they've caught up with the performance side of it with like the MI355X. Now the performance leap that's going to happen in the MI450, which is going to be ramping up in the second half of 2026, sorry, it is a serious step up. You can see the trajectory that they've been on, and you can see the step up that's going to happen here. Now, the other thing that they said last night is that they expect the AMD data center tab to scale up from 200 billion, and previously the projection was 500 billion, is now increased to 1 trillion in 2030. So they came out last night and said, that opportunity that we have, we feel like the tab has potentially doubled in the next 5 years, which is incredible. And Lisa Su was on there. And by the way, what a cracking CEO, Lisa Su is. What she's done at AMD is incredible. And she was saying, this is something that, a year ago, if you asked people were expecting a slowdown. You talked to a lot of management teams, they were saying, we expect this demand to slow down in a year's time. And now you go talk to a lot of these management teams, and obviously AMD are having regular conversations with a lot of these management teams, and they're actually coming out and saying it's actually accelerated right now. And that's why the tab now is going to be on a CAGR of 40%. It's absolutely incredible. And this is the figures that I said to you guys like 2 years ago, I think now. I was looking at this AI space and I was like, I wasn't 100% sure how big this was going to be. And I was on the sidelines, and while the video was massively pumping up, I was there on the sidelines going, yeah, it's pumping up, but is this AI demand sustainable? And I kind of missed the boat on the video. And I wasn't sure how, if it was just a bubble or what. And then after listening to the company's earnings and, what Nvidia was saying for like the next kind of couple of months, it was clear to me that I was like, this is actually going to be massively serious. And this could be like the biggest growing TAM in the next few years. And as an investor, if I sit on the sidelines and I miss this TAM, probably the biggest growing TAM opportunity in the next 5 years, and I don't have a single investment in this space, I am going to look an absolute donut. And that's why, I went out and bought AMD, and hopefully, we're kind of getting the rewards already, but, clearly in the next kind of 5 years as well is going to be a time frame for collecting the rewards, hopefully. And really, really glad I listened to myself there and, bought someone in this kind of space. So the data center AI revenue for opportunity, they broke into what could potentially be the next 5 years opportunity here. They said that they are expecting to deliver tens of billions of dollars in 2027, and they're expecting 80% CAGR data center AI revenue CAGR. Now, just remember what we said at the start of the video. The data center CAGR previously was 52%. So they're saying, and this was clear when you listen to the management team on the analyst day, they've never seen anything like this before. And you can see here with these projections, it clearly looks like a case there. They said accelerating revenue growth for the next 3 to 5 years. Now they said that data center business is going to grow at 60% CAGR. the core business is going to grow at 10% CAGR. And as a total, they expect AMD now to grow at 30% year CAGR. Now, when I show you the numbers in a few minutes, my projections for AMD on the high top side was 35%, and they're saying they're going to do that. Now, we know AMD. AMD historically exceed those expectations. So, are we going to be talking about AMD to a point where it's going to be 40% CAGR? So the fact that they've kind of confirmed that, and the fact that they're willing to kind of stick the neck on the line and put that out there, means that 35%, the high end that I was forecasting, is very much achievable. And in fact, could be slightly exceeded as well, which is great to see. Now, this is a terrible screenshot from me, because you can see here, it's about to fade into the next slide. But they talked about the performance here with the MI450 series, and they compared it to NVIDIA's new Vera products that they announced literally, September time. And you can see here like the memory capacity exceeding here, and also the scale out bandwidth exceeding. And the other three metrics here is in level. So this is the first time that AMD is going to have these products in 2026 that are not only on the level of NVIDIA. So you look at the financials they've been doing recently. That's with products that are not as good as NVIDIA's products. AMD are actually going to enter now a time frame where their products exceed NVIDIA's, which is then you're talking about market share. They're going to take market share, and that's what AMD has actually came out and said, like, we are expecting to take market share as well as growing in the next few years in a TAM that's absolutely exploding, which is obviously great. So they also came out with a couple of slides here. So we talked about the revenue growth here. They talked about gross margins of 55 to 58%, which is obviously significantly higher than where they are at right now, which is gross margin expansion. We just mentioned about that. They talked about free cash flow margin going above minimum, is the words they used, at 25% free cash flow margin. At the moment, AMD's free cash flow margin is 20%. So they're expecting a 5% increase there on that point of view, which would be great to see. Ultimately, they said that they expect to achieve at least a $20 EPS estimate. Now, it doesn't take a genius to realise that if this is your forecast for the next 3 to 5 years, so when companies say that, you're already kind of thinking, okay, 4, probably towards the 3 side if you're willing to put a 3 there. If they're willing to achieve, if in the next 3 years, a $20 EPS, and currently AMD is $258, you talk about 12 times there in 3 years' time. And if you're growing at a 35% CAGR, you're not going to be 12 times earnings. You open the question up about how big that could be. It could be absolutely massive. And there was actually a post on Seeking Alpha, which there was an analyst here, and he said that if they do hit that $20 EPS target in the next 3 to 5 years on a 25 times P multiple, they expect it to be a $500 stock in the next few years. And I think that's conservative, because if it's doing 35% growth a year with the gross margins expansion, which we talk about multiple times, that's the perfect formula where you have revenue growing, profit growing, and margin expansion, because then your profit's not only growing 35% a year, your profit will be growing 40, 50% a year. You're not going to be trading at 25 times earnings. You're going to have a market premium on you for that level. So the $500 target that's here, which is a double up from the share price here, seems massively achievable. But I think you start talking about the point of view is where we could see AMD. Is it going to trade at 30 times earnings, 40 times earnings, 50 times earnings? Now, I don't like assuming frothy numbers, but that is going to be the case. And if at 50 times earnings on a $20 EPS, then you start opening up the case of going, are we going to see AMD become a $1,000 stock in the next 3 to 5 years? And the answer to that, after this analyst day, is potentially. I would say $500 to me would be disappointing if they achieve those numbers. I do think the question opens up about AMD becoming a $700, $800, $900 stock right now, which, coming back to the start of the video, is that when AMD is your number one position and there's that much upside there, and they're saying that sort of thing, I mean, that looks absolutely incredible, doesn't it? So yeah, I am really excited about where AMD is going at the moment, and I think that, you know, the talk that they were saying around this new product that's going to come out next year, um, in the H2 of 2026, and will ramp up, and then the big launch really, and you know, all that OpenAI partnership kicks in 2027. The numbers that these guys are going to be doing is scary. So yeah, the future for AMD in the next few years looks very impressive. I guess that kind of leads us from like a number point of view. Where am I at with AMD from a number point of view? Well, the last time I covered AMD was on their earnings, which was only a couple of weeks ago, and since then it was a 380 billion market cap, and since then the stock has skyrocketed even more, and I believe now it's a 421 billion market cap. So yeah, a pretty significant jump there already on AMD. So let's just update these numbers. So 20, 25%, 35% revenue growth, which very much seems like they're going to come in at this high end here. 18, 23, 28% profit margins, which I think they're going to sit somewhere in those sort of ranges, and even with the numbers today, it seems that case. 60 times earnings multiple. I think if you're doing these numbers, you could argue the case about 60 times earnings for this business, and you're getting up to, still on the mid side, 171% upside on the mid side on those profit margins and 25% growth. And on the high side, you're getting 349% upside. Now, let's just say like they don't get the premium and they trade at like 30 times earnings, which I guess is still a little bit of a premium, to be fair. You're still getting over 100% upside. But I think the market's going to love it. If they're doing those numbers, it's going to throw it to a premium for sure. And then, like I said, you know, the question comes about, you know, what happens if they grow at 40% a year and exceed it? You know, you're up to 400% upside. And like Lisa Sue was saying, is that the levels of profitability we're going to be throwing off in the future, and we do like returning cash to the shareholders, you open up the question about, you know, what potential share buyback could they do? I kind of think, you know, they're going to, with the valuation you're going to be at, do you want to be buying shares at these levels? I don't know if they go to a point of view of paying a dividend. That could be something further down the line. But let's say they're able to buy like 10% of the market cap back, which they're going to be earning about that every year going forward. So if they were able to buy like, let's do 5% of the market cap back. You look at the upside now. If they were able to buy 10% of the market cap back with all this profit they're making, incredible upside. So, you know, this is why for me personally, I'm not panicking exactly what numbers they do here, because I know that if they hit these numbers that they're saying, I am going to probably double up again on my investment. And the case is open that I could actually triple, quadruple the return if they really, really execute. And this is the great thing about being a long-term investor. And this is why I like holding like the companies that, if they have fantastic returns, but if they're executing massively and you have a flower here, you don't cut your flowers. You know, you water your flowers. And I'm looking here and I'm thinking, I'm just letting this thing run. Because let's say I'm a little bit disappointed with the numbers they achieve, I still reckon I can walk away with like a 100% upside. But if they do really execute on the numbers that they say they're going to do, I could be walking away here with 200, 300, 400% return in the next few years, which is massively exciting. So it looks great. I'm really looking forward to 2026, 2027 with these guys. And I'm glad it's now come my number one holding, I guess, really. So hope you enjoyed the video, guys. All the fresh information there about AMD. Thanks for watching. See you in a bit.